Angela Simpson, who tortured and offed a disabled man called Terry Neely because she believed he was a police informant. Simpson received life in prison for the crime. Daniel Camargo Barbosa was a serial killer who was believed to have RA'd and offed over 150 young girls in Colombia and Ecuador during the 1970s and 1980s. He confessed to offing 72 girls in Ecuador since escaping from a Colombian prison. After being arrested in Quito, he led authorities to the dumping grounds of those victims, whose remains had not yet been recovered. He was convicted in 1989 and sentenced to 16 years in prison, the maximum sentence available in Ecuador. In November 1994, he was offed in prison by the cousin of one of his victims. This is a crazy picture captured during the 2002 flood in eastern Germany. In August 2002, an extended period of heavy rainfall led to widespread flooding in numerous European countries, including the Czech Republic, Italy, Spain, Austria, Germany, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Croatia, Ukraine, and Russia. In total, 232 people lost their lives, and over $27 billion in damages were caused. Tsewangpal Jor, an Indian climber, met his fate on Mount Everest during the tragic 1996 disaster amidst brutal weather conditions. Separated from his group, he sought refuge but succumbed to the elements, becoming known as Green Boots. His story highlights the perilous challenges climbers face on the world's highest peak. In May 2023, Gelje Sherpa was guiding a private client up Everest when he saw an individual in distress near the summit. He approached the man, rolled him up in a sleeping mattress, and provided him with oxygen. He then strapped the man to his back and trekked 6 hours to safety. This is one of the final photographs taken of the village El Mozote in Morazan, El Salvador, between 2 or 4 months before the massacre of El Mozote in December 1980. The El Mozote massacre occurred in and around the village of El Mozote, located in the Morazan department of El Salvador on December 11th and 12, 1981. During the Salvadoran Civil War, the Salvadoran army brutally killed over 811 civilians. Following clashes with guerrillas in the area, the army entered the village on the 10th. The massacre was carried out by the Salvadoran army's Atlacatl Battalion under the command of Domingo Monterosa. On January 14, 2016, 60-year-old Sadie Hartley received an unexpected knock at the door from 35-year-old Sarah Williams, who had been seeing Hartley's partner and was jealous of the two. Seconds after knocking on the door, Williams shot Hartley twice with a stun gun and then stabbed her over 40 times. Williams was sentenced to a minimum of 30 years, and her accomplice, Katrina Walsh, will serve at least 25 years. On October 17, 2015, Sasha Samsudian, a 27-year-old woman living in Orlando, Florida, returned home drunk in the early hours of the morning after a night out. Despite being heavily intoxicated, she managed to enter her apartment, but was then attacked by the security guard on duty, Stephen Duxbury. He SA'd her, beat her, and then offed her. On November 21, 2017, Stephen Duxbury was found guilty of all charges and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. This footage from July 2022 shows the moment David Jones Jr. stumbles upon a young boy floating in the St. Louis River. The boy had become separated from his parents' sailboat and, according to Jones, was showing signs of hypothermia. Thankfully, he was safely returned to shore. In 1993, Elizabeth Pena and Jennifer Ertman were ambushed by 6 gang members in T.C. Jester Park, Houston. They were brutally beaten, RD, and offed with shoelaces. The gang members, including Peter Cantu, Jose Medellin, and Efrain Perez, received death sentences, Venancio Medellin, who testified against them, got 40 years for SA. Brian Banks did 5 years in jail and had to register as a S offender after a high school girl falsely accused him of R because she didn't want her mom to know she had S. She also sued the school district and won $1.5 million. Years later, she met with Banks and admitted she lied. He taped the conversation, his conviction was overturned, and the school district sued her back for $2.6 million. In 2005, Lavina Lynn Johnson, a U.S. Army private, was found dead in her tent, and it was ruled a suicide. However, her autopsy revealed suspicious injuries like a fractured nose and burns, raising doubts of foul play. Despite official suicide ruling, questions persist about a possible cover-up by the U.S. Department of Defense. In 2013, Maureen Kelly disappeared while camping with friends in Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. She said that she was going on a spiritual quest before walking into the woods without clothes, wearing only a fanny pack containing knives, matches, and a compass. No one has seen or heard from Maureen since. Authorities do not suspect foul play in Kelly's disappearance. Due to the low temperatures, it's likely she succumbed to hypothermia. Despite this, her body has never been found. This photo shows Joseph Goebbels glaring at Jewish photographer Alfred Eisenstadt in 1933. Paul Joseph Goebbels was a German philologist and Nazi politician who was the Gauleiter of Berlin, chief propagandist for the Nazi Party, and then Reich Minister of Propaganda from 1933 to 1945. This is Anne Frank's father Otto when he revisited the attic where he and his family hid. Anneliese Marie Frank was a German-born Jewish girl who kept a diary in which she documented life in hiding under Nazi persecution during the German occupation of the Netherlands. This photo captures Che Guevara's final moments in Bolivia on October 9, 1967. Ernesto Che Guevara was an Argentine Marxist, revolutionary, physician, author, guerrilla leader, diplomat, and military theorist. A major figure of the Cuban Revolution, his stylized visage has become a ubiquitous countercultural symbol of rebellion and global insignia in popular culture. These are replica dog tags of every soldier who never made it back from Vietnam, symbolizing their sacrifice and service. Each tag represents a life lost, preserving their memory and legacy for future generations to remember and honor. In 1964, motel manager James Brock poured muriatic acid into the Monson Motor Lodge pool to force out black swimmers during the civil rights movement. This shocking act of racism highlights the pervasive discrimination faced by African Americans during the era of segregation. This is a woman undergoing treatment for mental illness during the 19th century. During the 19th century, treatment for mental illness was often brutal and ineffective. Women were subjected to harsh conditions in asylums, including restraint, isolation, and even invasive procedures like lobotomies. Stigmatization and lack of understanding led to further suffering, with little focus on compassionate care or therapy. During the Kosovo War in 1999, a father tirelessly searched for his 2 missing sons amidst the chaos of conflict. Despite the dangers, he never gave up hope. Miraculously, he eventually reunited with his sons, a heartwarming story of resilience and reunion amid the horrors of war.